We're going to be talking about the integration channel. This is the backbone of our survival in the world as a human species. It's the original construct as far as when we were five-centered. This is the thing that was first to emerge, and it shows us the nature of the pure manifesting generator as far as what this would be as a type, the pure integration manifesting generator. Now, when you see this in someone's design, you are not looking at a team player, nor a team person, nor a small group being. You're looking at somebody who's all about me, myself, and I. So do keep that in mind. There are some things that may temper that. I will address it in this particular session today. But the most important thing that I want you to remember, even though it may look extremely self-centered and selfish, these are beings who are all about themselves first and foremost and always. It is a hallmark of an integration being that they're all about themselves. Kind of like if you think about what a 1-3 is, it's all about myself because it's both lower trigram, hexagram lines, and it's the only profile that does that. Here is the only place in the body graph where this configuration of 4 gates creates the complexity of not only this integration channel, but also channels that are part of individual circuitry. And those are very different things, relatively speaking, to the nature of what it is to be human now in this day and age and era. I want to preface this with the reason why this class is just about integration is because this is part of the most difficult area of the body graph to grasp because it's the most complex. And so the mind can complicate things. And I know it can feel a little bit overwhelming to see all these things at once. Do your best to, if you can't understand it, talk to somebody who has this. Listen to other people's experiences and you'll get a better sense of it. Now, I told you that I would tell you exactly what would happen if this being was not only about me, myself, and I. We know that there's always many layerings to the body graph, and everybody's individual design is unique and different. The moment that you see a 28 or a 38 or the entire channel that is about struggle, a design of stubbornness, this being, who is mostly about self-empowerment, all about self-empowerment, now becomes able to empower others. So it's that very special channel, part of this, when they have the entirety of this stream of intuition, then you know that this being is not just about self-centeredness, me, myself, and I all the time. They also can be empowering for other people. Okay? Keynote for this, when we look at just that, look at it as self-empowerment, me, myself, and I. When you see the 28 and the 38, because it's part of that stream, individual and knowing circuitry, now you have people who are able to, let's say, ask questions, because a 28 has that capability to get the self-centeredness of the 20 or 57 to turn around and look back and say, oh, wait, what? There's somebody else there. Oh, okay. I'll empower you with my information on the brainwave, my intuitive knowing, my health awareness, or my perfected form, or my empowerment, or whatever the case may be. So it's the relationship, particularly between somebody who is a 28 or a 38, and it's that 57 that will not turn the other cheek, but actually turn its head back and go, oh, okay, if it's in between 2 different people as well. So as an example, Ra himself had all of that integration except for the 34. So he had a lot of 28s in his life, we 28s who are very interested, keen to know or understand what it is that the 57 has been made aware of thanks to its deep, intuitive, penetrating awareness in the now, or its intuitive clarity, if it's just the gate. So we 28s have a very special, remember this is love of purpose. The 28 is the risk taker, game player. So here we have people who are very, very interesting. My husband is a 57, I'm a 28. So it's quite common to find in relational dynamics. Now, when there's no 28 or 38, you're looking at self-empowerment as a theme. However, when either of those two gates are present, you can just use empowerment, because without the 28 or 38, integration in and of itself as a channel is not mutative, meaning it's not able to contribute its awareness, what it knows, to someone else. It's always about self, self, self. So when the 28 and 38 are there, it opens up the potential for this being to be aware of others when it's in their own chart, or when the others come in with the 28 and 38. Now, I've said this concept in many different ways, repeatedly reinforcing what I know to be true. Please understand that when we're talking about integration, we're talking about one channel. However, it is quite interesting and fascinating to notice that, yeah, 28 still have a very interesting relationship with the 57. I will repeat myself over the next coming hour of this lecture and help you understand this. If you don't get it, don't worry. Talk to some people who might have it. Very interesting dynamic to find. Now, this is a common problem that I see from people who don't know the original source material. They think that this is a circuit, and it is not so. It's one channel. It's not part of a circuit group, nor other circuits. This is a channel construct that I will go into one channel at a time in a few moments, that operates through 4 different gates. And it shares those 4 gates with the whole of the individual circuit group. So because this is a complex channel that is all about self-absorbed, selfish, or self-interested, it's only the integration construct that is about self-empowerment, selfish, you could say. The most selfish and self-centered of the bunch is going to be the 10. Okay, selfish, about self. Always think about self when you see this. Behavior, the gate 10, behavior of the self. Now, when we look at the integration channel, here I have it in the mandala wheel. So you can see one down here in the quarter of the wheel that is about purpose fulfilled through the communication or languaging of the throat. In the quarter of the wheel, civilization, and that's purpose fulfilled through form, learning about purpose fulfilled through form. When we look at the other activations, 2 are in the quarter of mutation, and 1 is in the quarter of duality, purpose fulfilled through bonding. So we have almost all of the 4 quarters. We're just missing mind here. So there is no mind there relative to the integration channel, one channel construct, which is an essential aspect of the infrastructure of the body graph. Again, the original body graph construct, back when we were 5-centered, everything originated here. Integration is not a circuit, nor is it part of a circuit group, because it stands on its own. And you'll see that very shortly in a moment as I go through all of the different channels that create the integration channel. Now, relative to what actually we have in common with the design of forms relative to humans, you can see that insects and plants have a significant portion of integration. Quite interesting to see. So these beings tend to have an interesting relationship with insects and plants. So you can just mull that over and see what your experience is, or ask other people to see how it might show up for them. Now, I have this lone backpacker sitting there looking out over the hillside, because this is a being who can do their own thing. They can survive on their own. And we're going to go into a little bit of some raw quotes today to help us understand more about how this channel can show up. One of the things that was inspired by Ra was inspired by was the combination of the design of forms and then looking at it with the human creature being. So we'll read a little bit about that right now. He says, I'm deeply attached to the presence of the earth in human design. Very little is known about the nature of the earth and its impact on us. Earth is the meeting place. It's the medium of the neutrino ocean for us. The way that they proved that neutrinos had mass was by watching it go through the world and seeing that it had changed. And of course, Earth is covered with design, as in covered with design crystals. Think about the person with an undefined splenic system who feels so wonderful walking in the forest. They could stay there for the rest of their lives and be elves and fairies. And why? Because the design of plants includes that 10, 57, and 34. And if you're walking through the forest, you're going to be stepping on defined spleens. Well, it's true. And if you're barefoot, it's going to work even better because you've got to touch the aura. You have to touch the physical body of the plant to make contact with its aura. And if you're standing in the forest and you feel terrible with your undefined spleen, hug a tree. Now, not all trees are going to make you feel good. Not all of them are going to have defined spleens just like us, but you'll find a tree that does, and you'll recognize it right away. And if you've ever wanted to have an experience and a satori about the nature of life, if you've got an undefined spleen, go ahead and try that. It's wonderful. Absolutely agree. If you haven't yet tried that, go experiment and see. Now, what's interesting to me is that my husband and I moved close to Prescott, Arizona. This is an actual real image from realtor.com. This is the best places to survive a zombie apocalypse. And the best person to survive the zombie apocalypse would be the integration channel beings because they are the backbone of survival in the world. So I gave you this silly little image to help you remember Laveena with her undefined spleen. So it felt so much better when I saw, oh, I'm living close to where I might be able to survive the zombie apocalypse. In actual truth, it's because they have a lot of guns there and bunkers, apparently. So nothing to do with where I am personally. But here we have it, the backbone of survival in the world. We have the 20 and 10, which is the channel of awakening, a design of higher principles. We have the 1057, which is the channel of perfected form, a design of survival. We have the 3457, the channel of power, a design of an archetype of what it is to be generative, splenic, generated, able to have penetrating awareness in the now that is empowered. And then the last one, definitely not least, the oldest construct we have is the channel of charisma, a design where thoughts become deeds. And this channel of charisma is the background frequency that we're moving into as we move past the demarcation point of 2027. So charisma, power, awakening, perfected form, these are the components of the integration channel. This integration channel is integrating the exploration channel, a design of following one's own convictions, along with the brainwave channel, a design of penetrating awareness in the now. So the moment that you see somebody with the integration channel, you know also too that they have two more channels that are not part of integration. And that again is centering, not centering, that's part of the entire circuitry. That is exploration, a design of following one's own convictions no matter what, as well as the brain wave. So to remember brain wave, I think of it as, okay, if this is a very ancient construct and we were five-centered way back in the day, before we had ajna, before we had emotions, we had this construct. And the voice of the contemplation of the now says, I am. It says, I am happy. It says, I am sad. It says, I am aware my behavior empowered as myself intuitively now. I am myself in action and aware now. So before we had mental distortion or awareness, self-reflected consciousness, before we had emotions, we had integration. So this is the ancient construct, the five-centered beings, or was it three? Must have been three back in the day when there were just reflectors. Then we had this. So integration as a channel. It's not like we had the names for the nine-centered constructs now back in the day. It's just that if we were to give them a type, reflectors are the oldest, as in the original type of human being. This is the integration channel. And now let's talk about it as an awareness field, a field of awareness. There are 4 channels in integration of integration. 2 are projector channels and 2 are generator channels. The projector channels are perfected form and awakening. You can see them there with no energy connected to the throat. Then we have our generator channels. We have power and we have charisma. You can see that we do have energy connected up to the throat. And when we put all 4 together, we have indeed the integration channel, which is about self-empowerment. Now let's talk about the integrating of knowing and centering, which creates this integration channel. And then again, we see the element of what it is to be individual and empowered within centering, okay? Centering, which is a sub-circuit of empowerment, of individuality. And we have knowing, which is the brain wave channel, and the exploration channel coming together, a generator and a projector channel coming together, integrating both knowing and centering to create integration. So hopefully I've gone over it enough to where you can see 6 channels when it comes to someone who has the entirety of the integration awareness field, and that each particular channel does have a frequency of its own. But the moment that you have all of them, and please don't ask me, what if I don't have this gate? Then you don't have integration. Because if you do not have one of these as a planetary life aspect within your natal imprint, you were not born with integration. You were born with other channels, but you didn't have the integration channel itself, which is comprised of these 4 over here: perfected form, awakening, power, and charisma. Okay? And what if you don't have one of those gates activated? Then you would look and see which channels are being created. You would be missing 1 or 2 of these channels, depending on which one it is. Okay. Now, that means nothing bad or wrong. It's simply openness to learning wisdom. It's a different kind of being, a totally different kind of being. This as a type would be a manifesting generator, a pure manifesting generator, which, to be technically correct, would have the power of manifestation, but because the sacral center is defined, now we have the ability to respond to life. So that means action in response, waiting for something physically to approach you before you move into action, because you may be incredibly impatient to try and hurry up and make things happen and get things done. And you can, to a point, but at what cost? Because if you're initiating rather than waiting for a response, the faster you're going to get into a super angry, maybe even rageful and frustrating experience. So these are the beings that we caution to wait for the energetic availability to respond, because if you push the river, and you can, push the river is a term that we usually apply to people who are manifestors because they can initiate, because they can make things happen. energy to throat. But here, a generator with its pulsing, enveloping, open, enveloping aura that's spiraling out in order to magnetize or draw things into it. This is a being that, even though it has energy to throat, must wait for the energetic response, because that's the thing that's telling them, yeah, you go for it. Okay. So this is somebody who is a doer, as Ra would call. Before that we had types, we had doers, right? A doer, and we had waiters. But here, because the energy of the sacral is defined, it creates a different auric frequency. Open, porous, no filter. The only thing that protects a generator is when they wait for the energy availability to respond. That's the only protection mechanism that they have, as in engage responsively, as in what is your energy telling you? Do not try to push the river. Even though you can fake this, it will lead to damage. Particularly, this is spinal, bones, calcification and aging. If you've got Saturns in there that tell you to slow things down, to wait. This is a body that is designed to be empowered by its intuition, its immune system being strong, its power in the now, in response, allowing it to have its own behavioral system and its own expression in the world. Because it's a self-concerned survival configuration, and integration is all about the self-empowerment of the being for its survival, they are only going to be designed to be concerned with themselves. Nothing social about it at all. Now, I told you about the change that happens when you've got a 28 and a 38. There is also something too that I've noticed from people who are strongly tribal. Strongly tribal means you got a strong tribal cross, lots of cross gates in the tribal circuitry, or you've got a tribal channel, whatever it happens to be, with either the ego or the defense circuit. So that being said, now they are about support and being supported in return. But the dominating frequency is going to be about self first, okay? Unless we've got the individual activations of 28, 38, or the whole channel, it's self first. Now, what if you've got an integration being who is transpersonal, their focus of transpersonal karma being part of how they fulfill their life's work? We're talking about 5-1s, 5-2s, 6-2s, and 6-3s. So their self-orientation for their survival also has a karmic component that is about certain others in their lives, allies in their lives, in order that they fulfill the balance of karma with those people in order to fulfill their life's work, which has a lot to do with their own self-orientation of survival. So these are the kinds of beings, maybe, maybe not, but archetypally speaking, they're the ones that are going to be able to go back to nature, go out into the woods, survive no matter what, because they can, because they have spontaneous looking, thinking, quick, lightning fast reflexes, maybe even. Depends on their design and what they've been interested in. But generally speaking, these are the people who are going to be able to survive, like I mentioned, to make it silly, so you remember the zombie apocalypse. Now, when it comes to caring about the self, there are certain circuit keynotes that we can use. Sorry. When it comes to caring about the self-caring in integration, there are certain keynotes that we can use that have to do with the survival forces of this integration channel when you have the channels as part of one thing. So the commitment to the awakening to higher principles, the perfected form that is all about survival, the charisma of being myself in action now, the power in response, the archetype of what it is to be oneself. So as an individual, their self caring keynote is about survival, self-empowerment. The gate 20 is the gate of individualism. It is a spokesperson of I am. It's a design of caring for oneself, or it may not. It says, I am happy or I am sad. It may be nostalgia that it is expressing. It is the spokesperson of the melancholy trip of all individual beings. Gate 10 is the gate of behavior, the behavior of the self. This is a design of self-love or not. I love myself, I love the world that I live in, or I hate myself and I hate this world. It is love or hate. There's always a binary. There's always a this and that. The 57 brings self-concern. I care for myself. Thank you very much. And the design of listening. This is the right ear, listening or not. They are going to laugh or they are going to cry. This is the awareness principle of the intuitive penetrating awareness here in the now. And then we have individuation. Individuation in gate 34. Gate 34 is going to lead us to a design of following one's own convictions. Again, no matter what. The moment that you are not following your own convictions, no matter what, you're going to start degenerating rather than generating or regenerating. That's why it's so important for integration beings to do what they love to do, what's empowering for you if you are an integration being. It has to come from response first, because the moment that you try to force or push the river and you are frustrated or you are rageful or you are potentially angry, then you do yourself and your body a disservice, and you're not helping anybody, but especially you, which is what you're here to be yourself for. Who are you for yourself? You're here to be satisfied. You're here to have your satisfaction of being who you are for yourself and no one else if you are an integration being. Now, there's a melancholy besides the 50. There's a melancholy that comes in, sorry, not 50. Besides the 20, there's a melancholy that comes in when we have the 34. And this melancholy of the gate, which can be incredibly powerful, because this is a gate of power that is only for oneself. It is not for anybody else. It can't be. It cannot be for anybody else. So the power of that gate, if it is not connected up to the throat, what happens is 34s feel like they cannot do anything about their melancholy. They can't be self-empowered. And some of the most vicious, self-judgmental, and internally rageful people I have seen are people without a defined sacral and a hanging 34. I mean, truly, because they can't do anything about it. So they'll backstab you or turn their back on you, and it'll feel very uncomfortable when they turn that pain or rage inside as well. Sadness is created when they can't do anything about their power or taking their power back. So let's imagine a mental projector who has been abandoned by their mother and father, particularly first father, where the father left and the mother was an absent parent, as in not taking care of their child. Then you have the setup for someone who has been deeply disempowered, not able to be who they are for themselves. And the energetic vampire is one of those things that people accuse non-energy types of, particularly the non-energy projectors. So when they are depressed and they cannot use their energy to resolve any issue, they can become violent, either against oneself or against others. So the threat of suicide, as an example, I'm going to kill myself if you leave me. Now, there's some people who have narcissistic or gaslighting tendencies that might also be a factor, but I'm just letting you know that this is incredibly rageful, and rage can go two ways. It can go out or it can go in. Now, this frustration can come, it may only come when somebody else conditions them? What if it's something that is, let's just make it really soft and they're not aware of it? So an unconscious Neptune. Someone else comes in with a powerful conditioning, and now this gets turned on. So that frustration of being disempowered may come when somebody else conditions them. If it is a projector who's being conditioned by one of the most common channels you're going to get, the 3420, channel of charisma, design where thoughts may become deeds, then that projector would be compromised, or reflector would be compromised by the energy type, and that's where it's the most painful. However, reflectors have a different kind of auric frequency. Their tendency is to be resistant and sample. What's different? Who's different? Conditioning slides off them. Whereas if this was a projector who is being compromised, their own 34, let's make it worse. Let's make it, can't make it sun, earth. Let's make it a moon, okay? Moon 34 being compromised. Their conscious focus being compromised by this other person who's busy and charismatic in the now, couldn't give a whit about the projector. Projector tries to insert themselves into the relational dynamic, and now the rage that the projector is helpless to do anything about. I'm glad, Stephen. I have never gone to this depth in the lecture, and now I know why. It's helpful, hey, to understand. Melancholy and frustration in not being able to use one's power in the moment. In the moment. I trust that you'll keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes peeled for this, my friends. It's the real deal of what may happen. It's not a guarantee, okay? Now, let's take a look at the melancholy of intuition. So connecting that to the archetype, we're looking at 57, the gate of right ear. This is the melancholy through what you hear in the now. That's the sadness about what is out there that you're hearing for the future. If we think about it relative to its opposition in the wheel, the 51 is on the other side. And so if this is something that is, let's say, your nodal environment, you're going to pick up and hear the sadness and the shock, maybe fearing about the survival of what's to be, because there is this sadness about our survivability. See, survivability, fear of the future. So you're going to hear things now, and there may be a fear that you will never be able to be present and hear. In other words, in the now. Remember, where we're at in the channel of integration is always about here and now, here and now. But this brings a little tinge, we could call it of precognition, as far as what's coming down the pipeline, because intuition is about, and I'm speaking specifically, intuition, this is the gate of intuition, is about what's to come, the future. So often it's about what you hear, and it can then lead you to sadness, to melancholy, to the pain of life's existential process. When there's a fear of tomorrow, that may show up like a fear of not being empowered to be able to face tomorrow, a fear of not being able to find the form for survival for tomorrow, or a fear of not being able to express yourself in the now, and that won't lead you to be able to survive. So that fear has a very complicated, complex area of the body graph that can show up in a lot of different ways. The fear, when it's just an activation here by itself, okay, by itself, meaning we don't have the other channels activated, we just have a hanging 57. What the fear will come up like or show up like has to do with the whole channel or the other side of the gate that's currently being conditioned by a person or a transit. The exacerbation and distortion of the fear there, or it just being turned on, lit up by any other channel that's defining the splenic center. So it's a very complex place to be, this future, quote unquote, reality, when it's not. It's not here now because it's future. So there's sadness. Now, if we look up to the melancholy of behavior, how this shows up is that no one else knows how to behave because the 10 is never personal. The 10 is about others when it comes to the melancholy. Even though this is about self, let's imagine it without any activation whatsoever outside of the 10. So then this melancholy can be about behave correctly in life, and you can get the advantages of behaving correctly, but nobody else knows how to behave. That's what the 10 hanging will tell this being. Nobody else knows how to behave. So, in other words, judging the behaviors of others, whether this center is defined or not, a hanging 10 is always going to judge everybody else's behavior. Nothing wrong with me. I've got perfect behavior. I know how to behave. It's all you people that don't know how to behave. Now, I want you to think about this with relationship to what it's looking for. It's looking for the other sides of the channels because there's other channels there. So what happens when we look at a basic split that has a very wide split like Laveena? Blame, blame. So if there's a hanging 10, then the other people are going to be blamed. Y'all don't have enough brainwave in order to know how to behave. Sorry, that was funny. Y'all don't have enough personal power in order to know how to behave. Something like that. Y'all don't have enough charisma to know how to behave. Okay, that's enough of that now, Laveena. The melancholy of contemplation in the now. This is the gate of contemplation, part of the new era, the new age, as far as the background frequency shift. You are looking at gate 20, which brings the expression of sadness in the now, or discomfort with the world as it is now. So the 20 says, I don't like what's going on today, and maybe if I go to sleep, it'll be better tomorrow. 20s have deep nostalgia for the past. They often are those beings that like that throwback music. My husband has this throwback music. Yeah, always. His friends are usually 20 years older than him. It's the I am voice. And if you have this I am voice, you are a spokesperson of melancholy, as in the wistfulness, longing for the bygone eras or the days that were and are no longer. Okay. Now, those were gates. Let's talk about these as channels. This is, again, the channel of power, part of integration, and it's about self-empowerment. So the 3457, this channel of power, is a design of an archetype. Gate 34, the gate of power, is the power of the great. And then we have the gentle, like the penetrating breeze that chills you to the bone. We have the gate of intuitive insight. The gentle, penetrating breeze. That's how I remember it, as far as where it is and what it be. So when we look at this channel of power, which is a design of an archetype of being a generator, pure power in response, empowered by one's intuitive awareness in the now. This is not a circuit. The keynote is self-empowerment. The time is now. The sense is hearing, right ear. And this brings us the energy to generate. 3457s have immense power in response. As the design of an archetype, these gate activations are in the quarter of the wheel, which is about purpose fulfilled through bonding, duality, purpose fulfilled through bonding, 57, and 34 is in the mutation and transformation quarter. So mutation of one's intuitive awareness leading to health, safety, security in the body. It is a generated type. That means when acting from not self, it carries the frequency of frustration. It marries the intuitive insight, this gentle penetrating awareness, which gives us the possibility to express the awareness of struggling for clarity, because clarity can be a struggle to hear, because this is the right ear. It's the still, quiet voice that speaks to the nature of what's to be or what's to come. There is an awareness possibility here because it's the right ear. It's the existential here. It hears truth now. It may not know exactly what you're lying about, but it hears whether you're lying or not. Call this the bullshit detector. You got a bullshit detector when you hire somebody who is listening for truth and you can hear the frequency of their voice. They don't believe what they're saying. They're lying. Don't know what they're lying about, but I know they're lying. Okay? Now, this power of the great, the gate of power, brings this fuel because it's a possibility, not a guarantee. It has to come through response. Self-empowerment, which is about self-empowerment for the self, no one else. The power for the self brings us independence. This is an independent being. This is the energy, the 34, to individuate or not. Now, if we link the 34, we are going to talk about it so much more because it is going to go into 1, 2, 3. 3 channels in this particular class today. But think about this energy to individuate or not, and link that to what's going on in the future. Yeah, as far as the 2027 background shift. Guess what? It's happening now. Have you seen how many more freaky deaky, weird, wacky, wonderful individuals there are here on the planet? Yeah, tons. The 34 is a gate that does not have any connection to female or male. It is absolutely asexual. Asexual. It's asexual. It doesn't have to be male nor female. So of course it has the energy to individuate or not. What if they go apathy? 6-line beings. Depends on what the whole totality of their design is. Okay, so as an example, this is Alan Watts' design. If you like Alan Watts, hi, so do I. This power that he has, this generative power that he brings, allows the power of his intuitive clarity to give him the ability to respond. So the response ability from moment to moment to moment to moment, to react clearly and quickly. Also, because he's emotional, to wait for clarity as those continual moment by moment responses add up to an intelligent appraisal of what they are clear about, or he in particular, this one is clear about. Because he has to be, let's say, empowered by his physical body, unconscious awareness, because he has, there are no guarantees, because he has truly powerful values. This is a being who can definitely, we can hear him speaking to the nature of individuating. Would you agree? The capability of him to be sensitive to people's needs, to have this moodiness and potential for melancholy and sadness, and channeling that into being a role model of someone who knows what to do when waiting for clarity through the waves of his emotionality. So he says, this is the real secret of life, to be completely engaged with what you're doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play. Next one as an example, we have Sean Connery. Very different design indeed. By being available in the response ability, the ability to respond with emotional clarity, he is designed to be independent, sovereign, and free, empowered as his own acoustically available being that has this penetrating awareness in the now, charismatically being himself, as he is a design of an archetype of someone who is designed to mate or bond with what is different when called through the friendship, to be able to have his empowered emoting, either through the happy, sad expression, the moodiness, the melancholy, through cycles of one's life's experience. So what he says is that James Bond's qualities of self-containment, his powers of decision, his ability to carry on through till the end and to survive. I like to think I acquired them before Bond. Yeah, I would say so. It's part of his unconscious genetic potential to be able to struggle and fight for a life that's worth living beyond just survival. He is an inspiring example of what it is to be vital and physically alive, moment by moment, through response with emotional clarity. Now, because he has this 3828, again, remember, it's not just about himself. He also has tribal, so it's also about others, his friends, his network, the people who charismatically allow him to be himself. The moody bastard, my mind might say. Depends. I do not know him personally. No guarantee. Okay, channel of perfected form is the next one we'll dive into. This is again part of integration, self-empowerment as part of the group of integration. And it brings this perfected form, which is a design of survival, 1057, the 10 being treading, gate of behavior, the behavior of the self, the 57 being the gentle, the gate of intuitive insight. This intuitive insight that is so powerful relative to its awareness principle, not power from the motors that we see, but power of individuality and awareness of truth, of being self for truth. It is about the perfected form. So not just the bonding and duality, but also the mutation, the individuation process that is incredibly transformational. So when we look at the channel of perfected form, we are looking at, again, an integration aspect of the integration channel. The circuit, none. The time is always now within integration. The sense here is hearing, the right ear. And we're looking at the keynote of self-empowerment, bringing in awareness possibility, the perfected form, again, design of survival, which is the creative channel. All of the channel groups have one channel that speaks to the nature of the expressiveness of the creativity of whatever group it happens to be that we're within. So this is the one for today, the creative channel, integration, the art of survival, perfecting the art of survival. So this, archetypally speaking, can be about not just your body, but also the physical places that you be. So it can be an architect. You can design life processes. Part of the work is, as a human design analyst, is helping people sculpt their future or perfect the, let's say, form of their life or their business. So you could be an interior designer. There's all kinds of things that this can show up like, but it tends to be that they are very picky, as in specifically wanting certain things from their environment. The gate 10, treading, which is the behavior of the self, and it's part of the connective field to the magnetic monopole. This is the lip of the vessel of love. Okay, we have the love gates. This is where love pours out. It's the nature of the self, the love of living, in other words, the Li to be able to love oneself. The intuitive insight, the gentle, this possibility of awareness to struggle for clarity or not, brings this awareness possibility of the future and the existential, again, right ear. So treading in the quarter 4, mutation and transformation, intuitive insight, quarter 3, duality, which is about bonding. When we look at some examples here, we'll see Marie Kondo. If you know of her, she is somebody who is about cleaning their spaces. So she's of fame for looking around at your environment, and if you pick something up and you absolutely don't love it, then you get rid of it. Very simple. Now, she says it's a very strange phenomenon, but when we reduce what we own and essentially detox our house, it has a detox effect on our bodies as well. She brings the intuitive love of self. By being a deeply intuitive being, she, you can see, is a manifester relative to her own inner process of knowing, being able to stand as a role model that's inspiring, by the initiation needing to be first in order to perfect the form, with her wavelength of talent when it comes to organizing things, making things more beautiful. So we look at this being who has the ability to inform in order to put into action some new way of perfecting the form, which not just is your body, but also the places that you be. So thinking on your feet, being able to have creativity when it comes to designing spaces, creating and designing environments where survival is more likely to be a guarantee because it provides protection from the fear of tomorrow. When we are non-sacral, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by the generative energy frequency field. The busy, 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 the do it all and do it now quite quickly. So for her to have found her perfected form in establishing her authority, the form for survival, the detox effect on the body, to have 2 creative channels, quite beautiful. Wonderful indeed. So next we have as an example, Leonard Cohen. Here we see this being who is again manifested, and we have sensitivity, okay, the channel of synthesis, a design of being sensitive, as well as the channel that is about the jack of all trades, being transitoriness, channel of transitoriness, jack of all trades. Marry that with the perfected form, and we see a split. We see a powerful emotional manifester who is here to role model what it is to be the perfected version of himself. We can see he says, act the way you'd like to be, and soon you'll be the way you act. That's a beautiful quote. We're seeing somebody who has the potential to perfect all kinds of forms of things. Remember, it was part of the design of plants? So it's like yourself, your art, your music, song, dance, not just the interior design. It could be food, beautiful food, perfected form of food, gardening, architecture, whatever it happens to be. Anything that comes to your realm, including your own behavior. Many different projectors who are interested in behavior we find in human design. So these are people who are designed to love the creations that they create, might be their body, in simply living truth, in truth, to being oneself. This is somebody who is designed to be healthy, safe, secure in their own identity. And you see the partnership that he is designed for, to initiate someone into the relationship, the relational dynamic that is part of his life's purpose fulfillment. Transpersonal, karmic fulfillment as a 6-2. Okay. Let's talk about awakening. Nothing like some self-empowerment in awakening, truly. It is combining this integration group self-empowerment channel of awakening, design of a commitment to higher principles, The gate 10, treading, behavior of the self, and the 20, contemplation, gate of the now. You can see they are within the quarter of the wheel, purpose fulfilled through civilization, purpose fulfilled through form, and mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation. So the mutation of the form, or the transformation of civilization, however you want to language that. So we're looking at this integration channel, which is not part of a circuit group. It is the keynote of self-empowerment that you use, and the channel itself is projected. The voice says, I am now, and it's either going to be decisive or indecisive. The time is here and now. The sense is still about hearing, and it's about the expression of the awakening to the commitment to higher principles. Now listen close, it says commitment. It doesn't say follow through. There's no power here as far as the energy. So it might pay really good lip service, but is it truly awakened? Nothing to do but wait and see. Awakening is a pulse of off on. Quite interesting to see as well. The gate 20, contemplation in the now, with the expression of the mechanical manifestation of clarity, or not. I know I am now. Now here it's talking about the behavior of the now. The gate 20 brings the intuitive manifestation of now. So when we've combined contemplation, the now, with treading, the behavior of the self, what we get is a function of the magnetic monopole through the lip of the vessel of love, which brings the nature of self and the love of living, the Li. Again, treading. Here we look at it in the quarter of mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation, and the 20, the now, civilization. This is form principle. Okay. So when we take a look at, oops, Queen Latifah, I accidentally messed up the animation there. You see, we have the channel of awakening, higher principles. And what she says is, when I was around 18, I looked in the mirror and said, you're either going to love yourself or you're going to hate yourself. And I decided to love myself. That changed a lot of things. So here we see someone who has the potential to express the love of self, her power in the now, being charismatic, doing what she loves, centering within on her higher convictions, exploration, okay, exploration. And the principle of her being tribal means that she's here to be a custodian, to respond to preserving and protecting the tribe. Notice how she's got a 28, no 57. So because she's tribal, she has almost all of integration. This is not a being, and a 6-2. This is not a being who's going to be all about self, self, self all the time. She also is going to be about responding to others, being in the expressive truth of who she is for herself. And when you are true to yourself, you set an example that can be inspirational to others around you, to their own behaviors or their own truths. And that's quite nice to see. Isn't that beautiful? I do love her design. 6-2, transpersonal. And here's another one. We have Glenn Close, and she is a channel of awakening, commitment to higher principles as well. This one, we have power behind it, just like Queen Latifah. Here we say, regarding reactions to the film Albert Nobbs, where she plays a trans man, Glenn Close stated, quote, some people will change their point of view, and those who are either too old or too blinkered to accept the beauty of difference will just have to die off. And there we see the nodal environment as part of the empowerment of the being here. This is someone who has a need for self-integrity, self in integrity or authenticity. Because we have the channel of rhythm, a design of being in the flow, and also witness, prodigal, design of a witness, We're looking at somebody who is not only individually designed, but also collectively as part of her design, being able to be empowered as oneself. So the voice of individual leadership, the 20, is absolutely here to speak for the recognition or the requirement of everybody to be their own authority, their own leader, like Ra. There is no guarantee, but Ra absolutely would speak to the nature of everyone having a right to being their own authority, simply by being themselves. Be yourself to love yourself. And these are beings who speak on behalf of everyone being themselves, being unique. These are people who are more likely to want to be around others who have the same kind of authenticity or sensitivity to self-truth, the behavior that is backed by power in the commitment to the individual principles of what it is to be sovereign and free. Yeah, freedom of action and response. That is what this design is here to be. 1-3, vessel of love. Okay, last channel, we have the channel of charisma, part of the integration group. This is about self-empowerment. The channel of charisma is a design where thoughts must follow or become deeds. The 34, gate of power, the power of the great, and the 20, contemplation, the gate of the now, meeting together exactly polar opposite in the wheel. So then what you see from this is that these are common, quite common. There are 3 channels that do this in the body graph, where the opposition in the body graph creates a channel. That means every Sun-Earth opposition, twice a year, for a week almost, every nodal configuration, not to mention, so every 16 and something years, almost 17. Not to mention all the planets that could also be there. The 20, again, is in the quarter of the wheel that is civilization, purpose fulfilled through form. 34 is mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation. So the transformational power of contemplating one's now, you could say, or the capability in response to be available and empowered in the now, to be busy, to be charismatic, like a missile without a guidance system. Because it says where thoughts must follow deeds, what do we recall? Not to mention that this was part of the brainwave before we had thoughts. But now in our modern day and age, we also, thanks to the mutation of the 7-centered humanity into a body graph that had a head and ajna construct, the awareness principle of self-reflected consciousness, the 2343 very closely is next to this body graph mechanic of the channel of charisma. So the very fact that just 1 week later or earlier, we have a projector channel. This is archetypally speaking, that channel of structuring that we'll look at on Thursday. Channel of structuring, a design of individuality, is the natural guide for someone who has the channel of charisma because they are projected in nature. Now, when you have your own channel of structuring in your own design, that means then you have a very strong mind. It still means that you have to wait for the response, but you're less of a chaotic manifester in response because you're a manifesting generator. In response means to generate, to wait for the response, the ability to respond. So what can this being do? Can respond. If you're trying to articulate anything that has to do with a generator, can wait for the response. Okay, wait for the response in order to be charismatic and busy in the now. It's their very busyness that creates the aura of being charismatic when it comes to this being. So we're looking at this channel of charisma. It is an integration channel, not part of a circuit group. Its keynote is self-empowerment. The time is now. The sense is hearing, right ear. The channel is generated. It is a generator channel. but it has the power to manifest. That's why we call it a manifesting generator. The only pure manifesting generator channel we have. This is the original generator channel, the only pure manifesting generator channel. If you look at the software or anybody's analysis and they say, you're a manifesting generator, but they don't have this channel, then to be technically correct, they're not a manifesting generator, not a pure one anyway. They are a generator with whatever manifesting power they have where the energy reaches the throat, however that happens to be. So they're a generator with manifesting potential. This is the only pure manifesting generator channel. The gate of contemplation is the gate of the now, this expression of the mechanical manifestation of clarity, or not. I know I am now. I don't know what I am. This intuitive manifestation of now or expression of now, remember, it has this tone sensitivity because it's individual as far as its nature in its reality of the expression. It means it's about me. I am. It's the voice of I am. And there's this melancholy that is there, this longing, wistfulness, sadness about the past. I am sad, I am happy, I know I am, or not. The 34, the gate of power, it's the power of the great. Its fuel possibility is for, in response, self-empowerment. It brings independence. It brings the energy to individuate or not. What is a failed mutation? Something that dies out, just like Glenn Close said earlier. They're just going to die out. Yeah. The now is in the quarter of civilization, purpose fulfilled through form. That's the 20. Across the wheel, we see the 34, power of the great in the quarter of mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation. The biggest transformation is indeed death. Death is just a doorway. So we see he who is not busy being born is busy dying. This is Bob Dylan and his chart with his channel of charisma, a design of thoughts becoming deeds. You who have this channel as a charismatic, busy person are designed to be empowered in your response to life. With Bob Dylan, we see he's a 4-6. Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix. This is somebody who has incredible emotional, I'll say, depth, because availability in response to be incredibly powerful to generate life. This is the creative channel of the defense circuit. So it's a very powerful pull. It's one of the largest channels that we have. So he has not only a manifesting force in response with emotional clarity, and it best is experienced over time and with awareness. Now, what if you're someone like him, never came across human design? Oftentimes you find you make a fool out of yourself if you operate too quickly. Because there are no guarantees, our emotionality in a wide swing or spectrum, this is a stable installs, but he has activations that are pointing to all of the kinds of emotional waves one could have. So that means then, if you act spontaneously or move too quickly, you oftentimes make decisions on the very high highs or the very low lows. And so there is this responsibility in the ability to respond with his empowered manifestation energy in response with clarity brings him to an aligned, satisfying manifestation in response. He's at his best when he's busy doing what he loves, very creative, very powerful in his generation of energy. Has to obey his moods. Otherwise, not the right attitude. This channel of charisma we also see with Bruce Lee. And here with Bruce Lee, design of being busy, 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 charismatically, wonderfully, he can be an unstoppable force. He says, knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. So, individuality, as he has here, as a creative role model, inspiration, creative design of a creative role model. In response, he has the wings of the sacral, I like to call them, the entirety of the defense circuit, being both emotionally aware over time as well as logically, supportively able to care for his tribe. 6-2, what to do? He is somebody who's here to fulfill his life's purpose through cleaning up karma with old forces, familiar forces in the life. And he also has the channel of community, the design of a part seeking a whole. So 3 parts tribal, 1 part integration, and 1 part individual. And yet, when we look at the channel, as far as what is creating the incarnative purpose, we see the personality being about charisma and the body being about the tribe. So it may surprise him, surprise is a keynote you use with the unconscious, at the availability for him to be a part of this community, as far as the people that he's here to support and be supported in return, because he has answered the call as a 2, waiting to be called, answered the call to be a part of a community. Now, manifesting generators are known for skipping steps. This one is emotional, so he has to wait for clarity in order to not go too quickly. Otherwise, you have to turn back round and retrace one's steps. I imagine that happened a lot in his early 30s or early life before he was 30. His power is quite impressive. I imagine you would agree. When it's observed by others, didn't lots of people like to observe him as part of the process of just his receptive, flow-like water nature? Who, these beings being very attractive, the charismatic busy ones who are doing what they're passionate about, this contributes to his charismatic charisma, personal charisma, when he does what he loves. Same thing for you. Because you may like doing what you love, but what happens if somebody comes in and says, no, you can't do that? I remember my little child, who's also a pure manifesting generator and also with emotional manifestation and authority. And the earliest times when she wanted to learn how to cook was always, Mommy, me do, me do, me do. You know, I want to do it by myself. I will, this man says, be in control, doing it myself, doing it my own way. Thanks, Bruce Lee, for the inspirational look into thee. Now we see this is going to be an introduction and a review, because I've been littering the keynotes of what I've been speaking to you entirely throughout this presentation. And this is the end. This is the last slide before the quiz. So we are going to look at how the gates might show up depending on which gates there are. Gate 20 is the I am now voice, the I am now. It's a mechanical expression of now. Okay, gate 20 plus the 10 adds in the I am myself in the now. Still a mechanical expression of now. In these voices of individuation, if we add the 20, 10, and 57 together, we see the I know, I am myself now. Because we've added the 57, now we see it's splenic as a voice of individuation. The spleen is talking. The next one that we're looking at is the full integration as far as the voice of individuation. I am myself, I know, in action, to go in that order. But to rephrase it, to make it a little bit less cumbersome, I know I am myself in action now. That's an integration being, the voice of pure integration. This is splenic again, because we're connecting up with the splenic voice of awareness. Now we go to the 20, 10, and 34. There is no I know because there's no 57. It's instead, I am 20, myself, the 10, in action, 34, and now. The entire integration is always about now. Now let's look at 20, 57, and 34. Because we have this 57, I know, I am, the 20, in action, 34, now, again, splenic, because we've got the splenic center involved. Now let's just talk about the 2057, which we are going to continue this particular presentation on Thursday, as far as we're going to look at individual natures of being. The 20 and 57, I know, 57, I am, 20, now. The 20 and the 34, I am, 20, in action, now. So notice how the splenic center, anytime that 57 showed up, that's a splenic voice expressing, okay? Splenic awareness. I know, I know, I know. But this person doesn't know. If they're just a 2034, it's the I am in action now, mechanical. If it's to be, it's up to me. I do it by myself. Mommy, mommy, me too. That kind of thing. Okay? Isn't that fun? I love this chart. I don't know what about it makes me feel so good. So happy to see the patterns, but I hope you enjoy it too and practice with it. Practice and play to save the day, as far as singing someone their soul song, guiding them home, walking them home, encouraging them, empowering them to self-recognize, to be alive and vital inside, to listen to their voices of individuation. Now, there are some slides here that I'm going to leave for you to read, because it's all raw quotes, and it's especially for the channel of charisma, design of thoughts becoming deeds, because that's the new era. So it should help you in your studies. Okay.